My apologies in advance, but we do have to talk a bit about the dumpster fire that is American politics. Because Trump's new DHS Secretary, the one who replaced Kristi Noem, Markwayne Mullin, it turns out that he contains multitudes. Not only does he have a reputation for these weird insecurities around masculinity and violence.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution every problem?
He is also one of the government's biggest defenders of a substance by the name of Kratom. We've talked about it on the show before. It comes from leaves from this tree in Southeast Asia. It interacts with your brain's opioid receptors, and it's said to relieve pain, boost energy, and help you focus. However, it's also been linked to liver toxicity, seizures, addiction, and so critics say that it is dangerous, while also supporters argue that it is safe in small doses and has beneficial effects. Right? One of the big things is that it took off in the 2010s at the peak of the opioid epidemic, being sold in corner stores, gas stations, vape shops as tablets, drinks, and gummies. The industry getting a big boost toward the end of the decade from one consumer with one of the largest platforms on earth. Can you guess who I am talking about?
It felt kind of good. It didn't feel bad. It felt a little uneasy, like whoa, the world feels a little weird right now. I'm on it right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just took some, like 6 of them. See what happens.
Wow.
I took 10 once. Have people died from this?
Yes.
I mean, look, water kills people.
Now, we can't speak to the number of people who have died drinking too much water, but at least according to the CDC, over 5,200 overdose victims had Kratom in their system between 2020 and 2024. And while it is true that they often had other drugs in their system as well, one study found that people using Kratom were 6 times more likely to die from an overdose. But generally, it's legal, hence why some have called it gas station heroin, and hence why several states have restricted or simply banned it in recent years. But one of the things that we've seen is that the Trump administration has been very friendly toward the industry, and now we're also getting a clearer picture as to maybe why. Because according to the New York Times, Markwayne Mullin has as much as $1 million invested in a Kratom company called Botanic Tonics. And Botanic Tonics' founder, Jerry Ross, he is an interesting personality. He used to be a fossil fuel company executive in Oklahoma, right, the state that Mullin represented in the Senate. In fact, he did 3 years in prison for diverting $10 million from his company. But what's relevant for this story is that he drank a lot. Like, it was so bad that he got charged for drunk driving 3 times in the 2000s. And so he says that when he got out of prison, he tried all sorts of drugs, legal and illegal, to try to satiate that addiction, but nothing worked. Nothing, that is, except for Kratom, which he then started selling as a drink called Feel Free in 2020. And well, then a few years later, you had a class action lawsuit alleging that Ross's company targeted recovering alcoholics just like himself with ads casting Feel Free as a safe substitute for the bottle, right? Even though it's seen as highly addictive. And last year, Botanic Tonics settled. They agreed to pay nearly $9 million to put labels on Feel Free, warning that Kratom can become habit-forming and cause serious adverse health effects. But their troubles also weren't over because FDA inspectors had paid a visit to their warehouse and they did not like what they saw. And so the DOJ went to court to seize 250,000 bottles of Feel Free and other Kratom supplements. And that's largely where things stood as 2025 rolled around. But in the new Trump administration, Ross spotted an opportunity, and one specifically in RFK Jr., with Ross donating nearly $162,000 to Kennedy's campaign. And then using both RFK and Markwayne Mullin, Ross would make a very sneaky argument in defense of his products. Right? His argument is that Kratom is dangerous, but not his Kratom, saying his Kratom is natural as opposed to the stuff that his competitors sell, which is synthetic and basically gas station heroin. And you know what? That's not entirely wrong. Right, in 2023, a synthetic version of Kratom appeared that's more potent than the naturally occurring substance. It's called 7-OH. And so Ross's strategy is to aggressively attack this particular kind of Kratom, thereby wiping out the competition while also presenting his products as the real thing. And last year, the FDA held a press conference where both RFK and Mullin endorsed a proposal to federally ban synthetic Kratom.
It's an addiction that's truly killing people because it leads them down a road that sometimes they'll never recover from.
And according to the Times, Mullin also urged health officials to remove language from the FDA website warning of Kratom's harms, and it eventually was taken down. And in the meantime, RFK reportedly asked Ohio's Republican Governor Mike DeWine to back down from a plan to ban all Kratom products, instead encouraging him to just ban 7-OH. And actually, at first, he listened, canceling the plan, but then later, DeWine's office announced that it was moving ahead anyway. Though then also in December, the Trump DOJ dropped its entire lawsuit against Botanic Tonics. And then, probably completely unrelated, just a couple of months later, Ross donated over $440,000 to the Republican National Committee. With then, according to some, in exchange for that money, Ross getting a private meeting with J.D. Vance ahead of a fundraising dinner, during which he pitched the vice president on the virtues of natural Kratom and the dangers of 7-OH. Again, probably completely unrelated, Botanic Tonics donating $1 million to the Make America Healthy Again PAC, right, accounting for nearly half of the funds raised by the committee between the beginning of last year and the end of April. But also I have to say, while Botanic Tonic is very notable, especially for its ties to Mullin, it is far from the only Kratom company that's been kissing ass to this administration. Right, others have definitely thrown around cash and hired lobbyists to make their case to federal officials as well. And apparently, they've been successful enough that word of Kratom's supposed benefits, it made its way all the way to the ear of the president. Because Trump paused during a briefing about maternal health care last month to give this random aside.
We're looking very seriously at natural 7-OH and getting that approved, natural 7-OH.